Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Spicy Brain Podcast,
Podcast.
where we are navigating neurodiversity with
Curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance. Hi, Kick.
If you're just joining us, Rosie just was reading to me one of her new short stories, one of her new children's series that she's developing, and maybe she'll give a little taste of it at the end of this. Maybe just a little snippet, do you think?
Yeah, a little snippet.
Okay, a little snippet for people if they want to hang on till the end and watch. So, usually for those of you who are new to us, we kind of talk through some sort of a little story, and then we, kind of dig into that brain, one of our brains, depending, on the day of what it is, because we've learned we're both a little neurospicy when it comes to life. And, spice is the thing of life, right? So that's great.
That's
and
right.
then if you're returning, we just love you guys so much. We've gotten so much good feedback this week. Yeah, Meg's making a little heart with her fingers right now because we've heard from a bunch of you, and it really does help us when we hear from you guys and we hear how our stories or our talks maybe, make you think about something or help you to kind of maybe frame something in a different way. So I want to say really quick, so the story that you've just written, what is the title of it? Do you have a title yet?
Currently, it's Rosie and the Yellow Shoe.
Rosie and the Yellow Shoe. And I think a friend of yours that you know is an illustrator, right? Mm-hmm. And is like maybe thinking about helping illustrate your books, I think.
I don't know. I'm going to ask.
You're going to ask. Okay, well, we don't know, but it's
She
beautiful.
illustrated Rosie, and I did was I told her what the prompt was of like what Rosie looked like, and I just told her words, and then she made it. And Michelle, I kid you not, like the similarities to me as a young child, she had never seen a picture of me. Nothing. And it was just like, it was like little Rosie was on the page. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman knows me. She gets me.
That's so good. Well, today I wanted to kind of talk a little bit. We were going to talk about strategies around these like malicious motivations. So we've been talking about this book, Your Brain is Not Broken.
By Tamara Rosier, PhD.
Thank you. So lovely how you say that. And I think your children's series is kind of based on this now, right?
Yeah.
It's like accepting that you're exactly amazing. And if you had the kinds of things you would have wanted to hear as a kid that maybe you did hear sometimes, but would have been helpful to hear all the time, right? And
yeah,
I think our next series is really going to be around parenting. And so I've gotten permission from Josh to talk a little bit. He has ADHD, my son, and he's given me permission. He's 18 and he's given me permission that I can talk a little bit about what it's like for me as a mom, navigating that. And I think also we can talk about your experiences, and then we would love for our community ultimately. So I'm going to post what the book is we're going to be looking at coming up in the next series. We're still finishing up Your Brain is Not Broken right now, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and guys, this actually comes directly from one of you, like one of our listeners, Jenza. Hello, Jenza.
Jenza, we love you.
She has been listening since we first started, and she was talking about just wanting to learn more about like how do you navigate as a parent. And so we're like, let's do it. That's what prompted us to get permission from your son and have us have that conversation. So it's exciting. We know what our next book is going to be.
Oh, it's so exciting.
We're already ahead of the curve, Michelle.
We know what it's going to be about. I haven't picked the book yet, but yes, we know what it's going to be about. I'm sorry, I'm still reading 2 of them, but nerdy has to figure out which one I like. Okay, but I want to talk to you about what you and Josh did yesterday, because this actually, I think, is part of this chapter that we're on about coming up with strategies about these malicious motivations. So, for example, Josh had to clean the bathrooms. That's his job at the house. And you had to do some things in your house. And these are things that are hard for both of you guys to get started on. And you guys were just talking, right? Like on the phone or something.
Yeah,
FaceTiming or something.
He had some technical issues with his phone, so we were working through that together. And then I realized, like, I haven't talked to Josh in a while. So I called him, and we just chit-chatted for a bit. And then I was like, well, he mentioned that he had to clean something. And I was like, well, you know what? I have to clean my kitchen, and I've been in my mind, I was like, I've been avoiding it for the last,
Mm.
I don't know, 3 to 4 days, ever since the,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, ever
What happened?
since, did we tell, I don't know if they've heard this since, have we talked about
Oh,
the protein powder
incident of
debacle of
2025.
2025?
No, they did not hear this yet. What happened,
Guys,
Meg?
I love my animals.
2 pugs,
I love
Harold
my pugs,
and
Harold
Daisy.
and Daisy.
Yes, they're
And
adorable.
this week I couldn't take them to work with me, was doing some stuff, so I left them at home. And we thought we had kind of puppy proofed the house pretty well, and we had. But then I ended up, buying a few things just to kind of stock up before like all this crazy, things start happening. And I'm like, I'll get some protein powder because that's apparently what you do nowadays. So I got this like big, like, I don't know, $80 bag of protein powder. Not 80 pound, $80.
Wow.
And it was on my kitchen counter, mind you. But
Mm.
see, now Brian's desk is is connected sort of to the counter. So, and I think this was
It's like
Daisy.
stairs. It's like stairs up.
It's like stairs, basically. Yeah. So I think
Basically
that
up for them, yeah.
Daisy is the one because she ADHD'd over the whole house. She
She's
got
the
up on
one
the
we always
chair.
say, like, she's very, very hyper. Like, they always say you either have a crazy pug or you don't.
Yeah.
And that's what Dr. Who is
Doc
it?
Cohen.
Doc Cohen would always say, the vet that you went to.
Yeah.
And so now we even say it, like, we're like, "Oh, Megan just daisied all over this," because like, she parkoured off of walls as a puppy.
Yeah.
She
She
ate
still
through
parkours.
walls.
She still parkours off my legs whenever I try to go feed her. She's like, parkour, parkour. So she
So
parkours
you
off
have
of
this
Dave.
whole thing of her, like, jumping up onto the counter. She and Harold are, like, tag teaming. He's like, "Do it.
No,
Do
I
it,
know it was
Daisy.
her
Do it."
because I'm sure they cheered each other on the entire way because
Yeah.
they're like inseparable now. But I have actual pictures of her on the counter when I had like a little camera to see like what they were doing, and all of a sudden she's on Brian's desk trying to get onto the counter.
Okay, so we think Daisy's the culprit. What
I
happened?
know Daisy's the culprit. So I walk in and like not really thinking much of it, not thinking like, okay, maybe I should be, because Brian and I always say like, what do the dogs get into? We prep ourselves
Yeah.
because it makes it easier for my brain if I'm prepped and I'm ready to go. So I didn't do that this day.
Oh.
And of course I walk in and there is a giant $80 bag of protein powder on the floor,
Wow.
ripped into, and little paw prints
Oh.
all
Oh.
over the
You
kitchen.
kinda have dark floors,
Yes.
and this is white protein powder paw prints everywhere?
Yes, everywhere. I mean, Michelle, the
Oh,
stuff
like, beyond the kitchen, or was it mostly in the kitchen?
everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
They
On the
like
couches?
yes, everywhere. Like
Oh,
they
your
walked in
bed?
it and no,
Oh.
luckily they weren't on my bed because we closed the bedroom doors. We closed the
Oh, that's
bedroom and
lucky.
this room. That was the
That's
only
lucky.
lucky thing. But the worst part, Michelle, was that it was the scent of vanilla
Oh.
ice cream.
Oh.
So it was like sickly sweet vanilla.
Sickly
And you know
sweet
how much I
vanilla.
hate scents already.
Yeah.
So now this scent is literally everywhere in my house. Like they
Gosh.
carried it everywhere. It was on their fur. They rolled in it. I don't know what they did. I walked in and Harold's mouth, Michelle, was encrusted in like protein balls, like just these like chunks. Like I had to literally like pull them off of him. They
Oh, he had his
had
Were
hardened.
they, like, just disgustingly like,
Oh yeah.
were they just so full?
I mean, we did
Or
not feed them that night because yeah,
No.
they had already had
Oh.
tons of protein. They didn't need any more.
Ice cream protein, vanilla
And
ice
then
cream protein.
someone at work says like, "Oh man, but now they're gonna get totally swole." I'm like, "Oh yeah, they were swole, all right. It was just in their belly."
Swole. That's so funny. Okay,
But
so
Michelle,
anyway, you've been avoiding the kitchen since
but
the
so Michelle,
incident.
no, but I just
You're
need
not
the
done with this
listeners.
story, are
No, I
you?
am not.
Oh,
I need the
okay.
listeners to understand just how bad this was for me.
Okay.
Longtime listeners who know the smell one, right? Like it was an
Yes.
angry lime or something like that.
Yes.
Uh,
That's a great episode, actually.
uh-huh.
One of the early
So
ones.
now those of you who listened to that, here's what happened. Brian takes the pups out of the house while I'm cleaning up just to make
Mhm.
sure they didn't just go outside. And then he
Yeah.
walks back in the house giggling. And I was like, what's so funny, Brian? He's like, I can smell vanilla ice cream all the way down the street. That's how bad the smell
Oh
was,
my
Michelle.
god.
The
It's like
smell
a
was
bomb.
so bad, Michelle. I have been nauseous for the last 3 days. Like, it
Oh,
is just,
no. It's so bad.
oh, it's bad.
Oh.
So
Oh.
that's been my week.
Oh, I'm
So I
so
so
sorry.
make a very long story even a story, which is short stories, a story. To make a long story shorter,
Longer.
I've
Mhm.
been avoiding cleaning my kitchen, like the tops of my
Mm.
kitchen, the counters.
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to Josh, I was like, hey, you have to do something you don't want to do. I have to do something I don't want to do. Like, hey, do you want to do like a thing where we do it together? He's like, oh, you want a body mirror? And I was like, you know what that is.
Oh my
Okay, yeah, let's do
god,
it.
your generation's so cool. You already know what body mirroring is.
I
That's
know.
awesome. I love it.
So yeah, so we just were on the phone and we don't care that like we can't see each other because we had each other in our ears and that's all that really mattered. And
Yeah.
so we were just talking through and just chit chatting. And so he's did one thing and he's going around and I'm doing the other thing. And we're just like catching up and like just, having a good time because we hadn't talked to each other. And
Aw.
we were just so like, we were Rojo. It was like Rojo was back.
And
The
Rojo
Roji
is
Joss.
Rosie and Josh, right?
Yeah.
So RO and JO. Oh, Rojo. So
Yeah. The
cute.
Rojo show was back in town. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
I was saying to him, like, hey, this was a lot of fun. Like, would you want to bother Mary with me again when you have to do chores? And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh my god, that's so perfect. It was really sweet actually because I came home and I was out running errands and I came home and you guys were chatting together and I was like, "This is so cute." I was so happy, but I was thinking about it because I knew I was getting ready for this episode and I was like, this was part of what she's talking about is coming up with strategies and like
Mm-hmm.
reframing because if you had been on your own to do that, what
Mm-mm.
might that have looked like? Either you just wouldn't have done it or maybe you would have had to use like what malicious motivation might you have had to use to do it if it wasn't the body mirroring? Like would you have I mean, you used avoidance, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, maybe not
I used
anxiety,
avoidance for
procrastination.
I used avoidance for like 2 or 3 days, and then it was starting to veer on the Megan, you are just a terrible person. Why can you not get this done? Like this
So
is
it
not
sort of like
it's
went
not
to
going
the
to take a
shame.
yeah, it's not going to take
Mhm.
long. Just go do it, Megan.
Yeah,
You like if you were better, you would actually just do it.
yeah. And so that, like, self-loathing piece.
Mhm.
How was doing it with Josh different? Like, what was your brain or your emotions? What was it like when you had him with you?
It was just easy. We were just
Mm,
talking and it made time pass faster.
mm.
And so it was like these things are already like cleaning the kitchen is sort of what is that like when you have it's muscle memory, right? You've done it
Mhm,
enough.
mhm.
Like I can't it's hard for me to body mirror when something is not muscle memory, which
Yeah.
is actually interesting. I've never thought about that before until just now.
Hmm.
But when it's something that's just like tedious and monotonous, then it's nice because like you're having this conversation that's not new, that's not old. Like it's a new conversation. That's not tedious. That's not. It's exciting because like we get to talk to each other. But then I'm
Yeah.
allowing sort of my autopilot to run because like I honestly like
Mm.
it was kind of a blur when I'm body mirroring with him. It was total blur what I was doing, but I
Interesting.
still got stuff done. I not only
You,
did
like,
I get
looked up
stuff.
from your conversation and you were like, "Whoa."
Yeah, my kitchen is clean. That's cool. So it kind of propelled me, because like
Huh.
the nice thing about talking with somebody is like you don't really. It's always new. Maybe that's why I like talking to people because it's always kind of a new experience.
Hmm. It kinda keeps that state of arousal going, like, you're constantly,
Mm-hmm.
like, kind of engaged. That's interesting. Yeah. She talked about, like, so this idea of assessing your current usage, which okay, of using these tricks, and I was thinking, like, how would an ADHD person,
Mm-hmm.
like, remember long enough I mean, maybe some people would, right? But, like, basically, her thing was, like, can you, like, start to track when you're using these. And I thought
No.
that would be very hard.
Why isn't she ADD?
Yeah. So
Girlfriend,
I know.
Tamara, like, what are you talking about? I love, like,
Okay, well,
what do
this is
you,
what she said. She
what?
said, "Do this experiment. Set an alarm."
Okay.
See, let's see if you would be able to do this. Set an alarm
Okay.
for 1 hour from now. When it goes off, write down an emotional trick you might have used during that time. Then set the alarm again and look for patterns. Do you think that would
What?
be something you could do? Like, just set an alarm and then, like, at the alarm, have it remind you to say, "Okay, like, did you use any malicious motivations during the last hour?"
See, I think this would be hard for me because I'm a verbal thinker.
Right.
So I kind of need someone to bounce off the ideas with.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
it might be like if you had somebody body mirroring with you, you could do it,
yeah, like maybe I could do it
maybe.
if like an accountability partner. Like if I were to say, hey, like my group, I'm like, hey, can we try? Like if I did it like with my group, like maybe I could do it because they do everything on the hour.
Yeah.
So, but there has to be structure. Like it would be really hard to do it by myself.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I think that would be interesting to know, like, I don't know, and again, I don't know if it would be helpful or not, but it was sorta helpful last time we were talking, like, when we were thinking about it, like, you were like, "Oh, yeah, I did use that motivation." I think you were trying to, like, get a box back or something or return
Mm-hmm.
something, and you
Mm-hmm.
did realize you had used this malicious motivator, um, and so I think this idea of, like, knowing when you're doing it, and it was interesting today because I was doing math with Josh. I just wanna, like, I want there
Love.
to be, like, a big, like, echo on my voice when I say that.
Love. So
Yeah.
say it, try it. Michelle, say it. Let's see it.
Yeah,
Let's just say it once and I'll see if I can put an
okay.
echo on it.
Okay, math.
Okay, we'll see if it works. Now we'll
Okay.
have something fun to do while I'm
Does
editing.
so, I've gotten Josh a tutor now, which is great, and, Taryn, thank you. Thank you, she listens. We love Taryn so much, it's so good,
Is
but
she the one tutoring
today
him?
yeah,
Oh,
she's
that's
tutoring
cool.
him. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so she's doing it, and he loves her. He wants to meet with her 2 to 3 times a week during the summer, and I'm like, "Okay."
Do
But
it.
also, today, I didn't, like, plan ahead because I didn't realize he had a math homework until he just told me, so we sat down to do it, and we had to restart it 4 times because he was getting so anxious and so upset
Mm,
and so I was, like, looking and I thought, "I wonder if this is what it feels like for Meg," 'cause I think I did that sometimes internally if I didn't understand something, like, I might internally say but I would never, like, act out. I would never put it on someone else very much, but, like,
mhm.
I definitely might feel that way. But I was wondering if that made sense, and I was thinking, like, he's using this malicious motivation to propel him through something that feels like he's walking on glass. Like, he hated it, right? It was so painful. He's like, "It's just awful. It's the worst," you know? And and I I don't know, it was interesting to watch though, and so I had him, like, take a 10-minute break each time, and I was like, "Listen, by the way, I'm doing math on Mother's Day, so we're not gonna do this where I get beat up thing, like, where
Yeah.
you're" and I know he's not meaning to beat me up, but it's like I'm getting
Your
all this
collateral damage.
I'm collateral damage, and I was like, "I'm not doing this." So I went, I took a nap, and I texted him, like, 20 minutes later the 4th time, and I said, "Are you ready to start again?" And he came back in, and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, I said, "Why was it different this time?" Because we got through it, and it was okay. Um, and thank you again, Taryn, by the way.
Mm.
Um, but but, I I I realized, like, he goes, "I have to really remind myself I'm not the worst person in the world."
Mm,
And I thought, I'm not, like, I'm not and it made me really teary because I was like, "Oh my gosh." And that's why it's so hard to sit next to you when you're in that space because
yeah.
I think you're the best person in the world. I think you're the most amazing person in the world. And so and for someone who likes to have control over things,
Mhm.
me,
Yeah.
it's really hard to yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
you don't have to, like, say it with such is there an echo after your yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, 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 yes.
That it's hard for me to, like, sit there with it because I'm like I'm wanting to be like scream from the mountaintops, like, "You're the best, like, you don't need to think this way about yourself." But of course, that's not my decision, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "You do realize, like, this is part of the ADHD is what I'm learning." Like, when I'm on these podcasts with Rosie is that, like, and we call you Rosie, right? So,
Mhm.
Megan, Rosie, that I'm realizing, like, this really big emotions and feeling this way and this shame is, like, such an automatic place that's so easy to go.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pull somebody out of it,
Yeah.
right?
It
And
really is hard.
sometimes yeah, and it's hard for you all to like, pull yourselves out of it sometimes, and so, I don't know, I was just really thinking about this idea that you guys did this thing that neither of you wanted to do yesterday, but you did it together, and then it was joyful, and I thought, I think this is what she's talking about. It's not so much like, okay, make a list and figure out every single time there's
Mhm.
malicious motivation. But if you're finding maybe that there's something that's really hard for you to do, being curious about how you might do it in a different way so that you aren't beating yourself up.
I would think that this would be like her that specific
That
would be
strategy.
that strategy. Thank you. I'm like, what's the word?
What's the
I
word?
would think that that strategy would be great for a parent who's trying to help understand
Mm,
where their kid's at, because
yeah,
that I understand what she's trying to say. Like, okay, the alarm acts as the butler, and that helps you to think it through. But like, I can guarantee that by the second alarm, if not the first, I will have forgotten what the alarm was for.
right.
And
Yeah,
I've done that before where,
you'd have to say what the alarm is for. Like, we do that now when he sets it for Alexa.
yeah,
It's like, tell Alexa to remind you to do your chores at 9:30, and then tell
yeah,
her to do it again at 9:15, and tell her that you but she now says, like now she's like, "Josh, it's time to do your chores." You know what I mean? So, like, if he's not in the room, it's a problem, but, um,
yeah.
so yeah, if you're setting the alarm, you have to say what it's for sure.
But the thing is, like, I have alarms and they just don't work. Like
Yeah,
they work for maybe a week, maybe, but
yeah,
then I just very quickly forget about them, or I see them and they become static noise for me. So
right.
I have like an alarm that tells me I have to take my medication every day. And I don't ever take it at the time it tells me to take it.
Right.
And if anything, it just sort of is, it's kind of like, it's sort of a reminder of like, I am just a horrible person who forgot to take her medication again.
Mm,
And I've had to kind of retrain myself as more of like, okay, I have it there just in case I forgot to take it. And then it's sort of a reminder that did I take it or not? But I don't check it off. Like,
yeah,
I love checking things off, but I don't, for something about the digitalness of the phone, it doesn't penetrate my ADHD
so
like a
interesting,
real
yeah,
person does, or something that's in real life, because like, and I don't know if this is like a neurological thing or
mhm,
if it's my learning style or whatever it is, but the idea of an alarm is like, I it's a great thought, and I think that other people should try it for sure. I just have
mhm.
never had luck with an alarm.
And I think
And
her thing, though, is, like, just so you know, it wasn't, like, to do this forever. It was just, like, do an experiment and have it be a focused period of time. And so you're gonna try this for the afternoon to just see or it's not, like, supposed to be ongoing, was not her point, just so you
yeah,
know. Like, it wasn't and again, I'm not saying this would work for you even with that, but I think that was the point of it was more seeing it like an experiment and to see, like, are these habitual things that you're doing?
I think
Or
that
not and
this,
it's not like you're doing because that was the other thing. We had that conversation, Josh and I today, like, he's like, "Mom, it's not like I'm doing this. I'm not, like, making myself have a panic attack, right?" And I
yeah,
was like, "No, no, I'm saying it wrong. I don't mean to say that word you're doing." I'm like, "But the panic attack is so, like, even the verbiage that we use when we're talking about it, I was like, "I can see you're starting to hyperventilate. I can see that this is starting to overwhelm you." Like, I don't even know all the right words or the way to say it yet. So that'll be interesting for me to like learn how I can help with that better because but I'm the only thing I know to do is like you need a break. Like
yeah.
go take a break and go reset and then come back when we're ready cuz
The
anybody
brain
who's in
is
that
the brain's flooded. Like
yeah, you can't do
you can't
anything then.
think anything about it at that point.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I feel like the ADHD brain, is flooded a lot, which is why I
Yes.
giggled when you said
Yes.
that she said that
Yeah.
have this alarm. Now, I think it would be interesting if
'Cause
you
also the
had
alarm is like, you're like, "I've been flooded. I'm thinking
Mhm.
back to when I was flooded, might flood me again," you
Right.
know?
So, like, so I think if I was gonna do it, I would say, "Hey, let's find someone who I can body mirror with, or someone who's gonna be my
Mm,
accountability partner for that afternoon
and
to,
try this out.
yeah, who has a butler who can check in with me and make sure that, like, I'm staying on
Yeah,
task." And I think that would make more sense to kind of figure out what it is that I'm doing. But then again, like, I think the person has to also know what these strategies are, because I couldn't tell you, I couldn't have told you that I was doing something malicious during the like when I was taking back my return. I would never have told you that. I just would have thought like,
yeah,
oh, it's just me, you know. So I think there has to be something on the outside observing, saying, wait a second, that sounds like this to me rather than what you're saying. Because if you
right,
know, like, we didn't, it took a little while for us to even come to that conclusion last time around.
right, that there was some shaming going on for you with
Hmm.
that. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, it was interesting in reading what she said. She was like, basically, experiment to see if, like, this might be something you're dealing with, just to, like, put it out there to just check in with yourself, like, is this something? And then if it is, then we know that that actually impacts your health, and so
Hmm.
and your mental well-being, and so maybe there should be sort of like this idea that if you think this is something that's going on for you, that you're at least, like, committing to yourself that you're gonna try to, like, get some help with this, whether it's a professional or, like you said, an accountability buddy or something, like,
Hmm.
that this might be very helpful, to be able to learn some new tricks. And one of the things that I was thinking, I could not for the life of me think, like, "Well, what tricks would you use?"
Mm.
I don't know, it didn't even I just and then when you just said body mirroring, and I was like, "Right," because wouldn't you always want a body mirror when you're doing your kitchen? Like, that's
Hmm.
amazing. How great is that? And then, like, maybe that's just part of the plan. Like,
Yeah.
you're never gonna do your kitchen without body mirroring. Okay, so you make a plan for, whatever. I mean, plan, I know, is overstated with ADHD, but, like, you just know that's part of what I do. I always these particular types of things, I always body mirror,
Or
right?
like
Or
maybe
as much as I can, or
that's the time that I catch up with my friends. That's the time I'll
yeah,
make a phone call. I know for
yeah.
you, if any Gen X or Gen Zers in here, they're like, phone
That
calls, that's
actually
terrifying.
oh my
But like,
gosh.
or that's the time you like make a, you like listen to your podcast, like a one that you really, really love, or like,
Sure.
that there's something that is connecting you to humanity while you're doing it.
Okay, so I don't wanna out her, but I'm going to.
Okay.
Taryn listens to us on Thursdays and does her laundry.
That's right.
That's right,
Taryn,
Taryn.
you're doing a great job with your laundry right now. You get that laundry done. And I am so proud of you, because laundry is the hardest thing, the hardest task that any ADHDer has to even, well, I don't know if you're ADHD, but any person has to go through. So good for you. Congratulations. You put that laundry in the wash machine and you take that laundry out and put it in the dryer. Wow, I'm so excited for you.
And that folding looks beautiful. We love
Oh,
it.
it's great. Or don't fold. Just throw it in a container like I do. Throw it in the drawer. I
Yeah.
don't even fold anymore. It's fantastic. Oh,
It's
that's
fantastic.
the greatest. Here's the
Freedom,
thing.
freedom. Yeah.
Strategies about not being Pinterest perfect. Because,
Yes.
there's these tasks that you have to do. Like, I have to wash clothing, otherwise I'm not going to have
Clothing.
clothing that is clean, right? So
Correct.
there's a it's a lesser of evils. Wait, no, what is it? It's a, I don't know. It's the thing that you have to do, and you may not enjoy
You
doing it, but
always start with, like, a saying. You say it
I say it
say it
wrong.
backwards or weird, and then I can never think of it after you do it. It's hilarious. I'm like, mom's the same way. She, like, always tells me a word. She's like, "It's like such and such," and then I'm like, "I can't think of the other word." Like, I
You
have
just
no
told
way.
it.
It's just done.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes,
Anyway,
lesser
so
lesser of two evils.
it's the lesser of two. Is it the lesser of two evils? Well, it's okay. So it's the thing you gotta do.
Yeah.
It's the
There's no
thing you
two
gotta
evils,
do.
but that's what you were mixing up, something with anyway, go ahead. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So But so, okay, so, you got to do
Somebody
it.
listening to this like knows both sayings that we're
Exactly what
trying to
I'm trying to
remember.
say, and they're
Like, if you guys
screaming.
remember, like, just let us know.
They're screaming at us.
Like,
Like,
no, it's not the
this
right.
is what it is. Oh my gosh, how did you not remember that?
Because that's what we would be doing if we were listening
Oh,
to
yeah.
us. We'd be like, you
ugh,
idiots. Anyway,
seriously. So,
seriously. Okay.
so what were we talking about?
About the fact that laundry's hard
God, it is hard.
and
Okay, so
you don't fold anymore. You just throw stuff
yeah,
in
because
the.
like, when Marie Kondo came out, and then
Yes.
that was the whole thing about like just, lovingly fold your underwear into like a little square. Or then
Yes.
someone said like, oh, it's like whenever it's
And
done, it looks like.
I love her, and I love to fold my underwear that way.
I'm so happy for you. I think that is amazing. And I understand it. No, don't get me wrong. This is what I was trying to say. I understand it because like when it's all folded, you feel like you're in a shop.
Yeah.
And like you're shopping for your clothing. You're like, oh, I feel like I'm at a store, and it's
Yeah.
lovely. But the problem is that idea, while great of intention from Marie Kondo, puts
Yeah.
so much pressure on me.
So much pressure.
So
Yes,
then
I
I
agree.
don't even do the laundry, and then I'm like freaking out because I have
Yeah.
to do the laundry, because then like if I don't do the laundry, I'm going to have like nasty underwear I have to watch
Yeah.
again twice in a row or something gross, like, and then I'm going to have a yeast infection, and it's just everything's going to be horrible, and I don't know, is it going to fall off? I'm not sure, but something really bad's going to happen. And so I just now put all of my underwear in one bag, like in
Yeah.
a little washy launder bag, and then I wash them all, and they're all in the same spot, because like it drove me crazy that like my underwear would be attached to something like static clingy, and
Yeah.
I'd find them like in a random leg, or so then I put them all in one bag, one giant mesh bag, and then I just unzip it and I pour it into my drawer,
Perfect.
and I walk away.
And you're happy. Done.
It takes me no time.
Yeah.
And then this morning, okay, so then I will say though, this morning I was like, I have to like, I couldn't find like, was my underwear right side up, right side in, or right side out? Right side up. Was it right side up? I don't even know. And so I was thinking to myself like, I started to shame myself like, God, Megan, if you just did it the way that Marie Kondo told you to do it, you wouldn't have to worry about it right now. And then future Megan, like present Megan, would be happy with past Megan. But then I also think like I had to stop myself and say, but you wouldn't have ever done it. So I'm just grateful you have clean underwear, Megan.
So I think that is what she's talking about when she says reframing. Like
Yeah.
that is reframing it and like taking a moment to just like, okay, you have this like negative thing going in your head. Can you take a second to reframe it? And I think that comes from a lot of therapy.
Oh, sure does.
Right? Because like I don't see either of us having been able to reframe
No.
things before we got some help. Now, again, I don't think
Oh.
everyone needs to go to therapy, but I think it certainly can be helpful. And we would be big proponents of it if you feel like it would help you. Like
Yeah.
it's a really awesome, normal thing to do. And you need to interview people. Like the first person you meet might not be your therapist, right? And I remember you went through a few, and then finally you found the one you have now, and you said something like, I need you to validate me, and I need you to be this, this, and this, and can you do that? And you were picky, and I
I was
liked
very
it.
picky.
Yeah,
And she was like, love it. Let's do it.
let's do it. Yeah, she was all
Validated
for
me
it.
right then and there.
I was good.
She's like,
just right then.
absolutely. It
Absolutely, I
sounds
can
like you really
validate
need
you.
me to validate you, so I'll do it. And I was like,
Oh, and
you just did
right
it.
there.
Look at you. You just did it. Okay. I think we can work together.
So,
But I think it's like any task. It's like any, skill. To be able to reframe, you have to practice it. So however you're going to practice it, with a therapist, with a coach, I think it's really challenging when you're insisting that your family is the one who's going to help you with this new skill.
right.
It's not
Just
again,
because
it's
like
not fair.
well, I mean, as close as we are, right, which is now true, was
Yeah.
not always true.
Yeah.
Right? We had some really difficult times, and part of it was that like we can't reframe for each other
Mm-mm.
because even though we didn't live the same experience, we were in the same environment.
But like
Right?
having to recognize that like you can be in the same environment and be completely different people, which is why if you have multiple kids, they're never going to be the same because they're different people.
Absolutely.
And And, people like Michelle and I were enmeshed, like
Enmeshed.
super hardcore.
Yeah.
And like, we're close now, but like, I mean, I hope it's okay for me to say it, Michelle, but like,
Yeah.
you weren't my maid of honor at my
No,
wedding
I was
because we
not.
had a massive, like, we hadn't gone through therapy yet. And like, we were,
Mhm.
it was just a really hard time. And,
It was
if I
at my
ever,
house
I know
and I made all the chicken, but
you
no, I
did.
was not your maid of honor. Yeah, it was definitely one of those things where I look at it now and I think, um, it was necessary,
Yeah.
right? And like the idea of enmeshment is interesting. It's like you're very close, but if you can't separate, then that becomes it's like one of those Chinese toys, like where the finger. Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about? What are those
Yeah.
where, like, you put your finger on either end and then you pull tighter and then it's like you can't
Yeah.
get your fingers out? And I think that idea of getting, like, pulled so tight that you don't get to be your free self,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's like but in order to break free, like, you either break that Chinese toy that, like, I'm saying the wrong words, but I know what it is, but I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
it's called.
I thought it
Um
was a Chinese, I don't know. It's probably a terrible phrase. It's probably like like I don't- it's like a
well
finger
I'll look
dungeon.
it up. Yeah, a finger but it locks your fingers in there, right? So finger
I'll look it
dungeon.
up
You
right now
look it
while
up,
you're
you look it
saying.
up.
I'll look it
Okay,
right now.
so but the idea is, like, you either have to break that to break free, like, literally rip it
Mm-hmm.
apart, or you have to, like, relax and, kind of give way and then, like, go out so it's like, I think for us, we didn't
It's a
know how to
finger trap, a
finger
Chinese
trap.
finger trap.
Yeah,
That's what they call
and
it.
it's like we didn't know how to do it gently.
Yeah.
So the breaking free was very, like, aggressive, and it ended up in arguments and, if either of us had anything to drink, it got worse
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't good. And so
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that we had to learn was our own selves and our own boundaries. And I was much further behind than you were on all of that. So I mean, you really figured out a bunch of those things way before I did. So I think you're right though. It's like it wasn't it had to kind of break before we could put it back together.
Yeah, and that's
At
like
least in our situation, and we needed outside help to do it. I mean,
yeah,
we really did. Like we would not be here having this conversation had we not done that.
right. And I think that's why like it's challenging if you already are ADHD
Mhm.
and if you're struggling with the same kind of things that mentally that I'm struggling with, that means that probably there's some challenges in the past. And so like family may not be the people who understand how to help you out of it just yet. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the family. It's just that we all grew up in the same system. And so to be able to find somebody outside of that system to help, I think is really important, even if it's just like a friend. And I still think
Mhm.
that it's, even friends, it's really important to be careful how much you rely on a friend or it's one thing to rely on a friend, but it's another thing to like use a friend in order for that specific purpose.
Right,
And
like a friend as a therapist is not right,
it's
because
not
you might
fair.
be yeah, well, and I think also, like, it can be very wearing on people, like,
Yeah.
if you're trying to do that and they're not trained. They
Right.
don't know how to help you progress. They're just there listening. They're a sounding board maybe, which is great sometimes if that's all you need. But if you're actually not making any progress and you're treading water I mean, treading water is actually really hard. Like, do you remember
Yeah.
treading water as a kid and you're, like, exhausted after it?
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what I think these malicious motivations are like when I hear you get like, hear how it feels. It feels like that, like, treading water, trying to keep your head above water, and maybe not everything needs to feel like that, and maybe
Yeah.
some things always will, and that, there's not everything can't be easy, but I that's kind of what I was thinking of anyway.
I have so many thoughts about treading water in my head because we've
Do
never
you?
talked about it. Well, the first thing was like I listened to this podcast called Handsome, and it's
Uh-huh.
these three amazing comedians, and Tig Notaro is like she's just the funniest comedian. She's so dry and amazing and hilarious, but she apparently treads water. That's like part of her. She like will go into
Oh,
her pool
that's her
and she just
exercise?
yeah, she just treads water.
Nice.
And then she got one of the other women, Fortune Feimster, she got her treading water and she's like, Fortune's like, oh my God, the treading water is amazing. Like, so was just thinking about that. But then, as you were so I wasn't gonna say that because like you were saying something very sweet and
Oh.
thoughtful, and then I was like, okay, don't say that. But then when you started talking about the treading water and like where our brains are, then my mind went to like a pool, and it's like, okay, so now you've given us the rules to swim, to do a butterfly swim, but I don't have arms, so all I can do is tread water.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went there. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, but that's what it's like to have ADHD. It's like you don't have something that's necessary to complete the task.
Yeah. And so it would make sense that it would be exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually really interesting because the next chapter she talks all about energy. And you've talked about this for years.
That's like the one thing
She
I
she
did know.
she started the next chapter with time blindness, but I feel like we all have a really good idea about that. But the piece she goes on to after that is like the energy drain, and I think that will be interesting to think about with this. So the idea a little bit as I'm like getting through this book, and I've been kind of doing it just a little bit ahead of where we're at because
Mm,
I didn't want to get too far because it's a very dense book actually. Because she
mm,
is ADHD, it's like packed. You know what I mean? It's like everything she's ever learned and every person she's ever talked to is in this thing. And so I don't know how easy it would be for an ADHD person to like really ingest it. But because
yeah.
now we've been on whatever, however many episodes, and we're only on chapter 7. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, how many
we
chapters
spent
are
like
there?
I don't even know. I haven't even gotten that far. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, chapter 8, I know for sure I've gotten through. But what's interesting to me is as I'm like listening to what she's saying, so many of the things that you have said over time, I don't think what she's saying is different necessarily completely, but it's this idea of packaging it into this idea of an owner's manual for your brain. And this
Mm,
is kind of where she's heading towards. She keeps like mentioning it just little by little that you need to know how your brain works. And so you
mm,
know very definitively, Megan, that that timer thing is not going to work for you. You would need body
mm,
mirror something, right? But that's important to know about yourself. So, and then if you know, like you're in these, you're able to reframe these malicious thoughts in your head and motivations sometimes, that's amazing. That's a tool you have learned and can use. And that's important to know you have that, right?
mm,
As one of them. So I think it's interesting. Like we're gonna keep going with this because I do think whether or not, you know how your own brain works and how to also reduce if you're committed to that anyway, like committed to having life be a little bit easier
mm-hmm.
and to save your energy a little bit more and not use these malicious motivations as much when possible. Like don't beat yourself, don't shame yourself for having shame. Okay.
Yeah.
But, like when you can think like, oh yeah, this is something that's really hard on me. I'm going to try to get some help for it. Whether it's outside help or a friend or, you know, finding some other tricks. I think those all
Could
make sense.
I don't know why, but like, could we actually make an ADHD owner manual, like an actual thing that you fill in
Oh.
that talks about, kind of based off all this, the research that you've done and say like, okay, well, these are the different, so I don't have to know what all the research is, all like the executive functioning stuff, right? But it's like,
Right.
hey, when I do this, this is what I feel, what happens usually, or like
Yeah.
where like how people like when they start to like work on their will and like their wills and stuff, and they have a book. It's like if I'm dead, it's like
Yeah.
the if I'm dead book. It's like how would if this one's like there's my brain manual, like so you could actually hand it to a
Yeah. And
partner.
it needs to be one page.
Really?
Yes, because you won't finish it. Or would you?
Well, if it was something that like I had to fill out over time in order to give it to somebody, like let's say I gave it to Brian. Not, I
Mm.
mean, it doesn't
Oh,
really help because he's
okay.
also ADHD.
Okay.
But like,
Yeah.
you're getting to know somebody, and you're like, well, here's my owner's manual. So let's see
There's
if we're
me.
compatible.
By the way, I'm never gonna remember your birthday.
Like that's just gonna be
That's
okay.
that's
Well,
amazing
it's
'cause I'm
true.
gonna
It's
tell
like
you how grateful I am you were born every
like
day.
yeah, like we're never
Yeah.
gonna celebrate Valentine's Day, but like I'll be Valentiney throughout the year. Like
Yeah. I
I
like
mean,
it.
I don't know. There's just like those things where I would love, gosh, that would be like that's what you should be able to take when you go to a uh,
Yeah.
a job interview. It should be like, let me see your owner's manual and see if like you're a good fit.
Yeah,
That's what it should
absolutely.
be.
All
None of this
right.
like
I'm going to work
BS of
on
like,
this.
let's make a convergent way, and the only way you can get in is if you're convergent. Not
Not that you're better.
I didn't get the aquarium job. Can you tell?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think that just means that we get to do more with the podcast,
Yeah,
right?
just
And you
full
get to
steam
make
ahead.
more little Rosie books.
Oh yeah, I have like so
Yeah,
many in my mind.
I love it so much. Okay, well, I am very curious if anyone else in our community has any kind of like feedback or strategies maybe that they're using. Like, do they do reframing? Do they, kind of like deal with, do they do stuff when they know they're in like a hyper arousal state that they've like figured out? Like, what, I don't know. I'm just curious if anyone else has any strategies around this. I know your body mirroring and accountability buddy has been really, really helpful over
Yeah,
time. And we'll just kind of keep talking it through.
yeah.
Yeah, I love
Figure it
you.
out little by little. I
Yeah.
love you too.
Aw. All right, well, maybe a little story time at the end of this. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll do a little story time.
Okay.
Okay,
Love you.
love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. We're continuing our series focusing around the book Your Brain is Not Broken, Strategies for Navigating Your Emotions and Life with ADHD by Tamara Rossier, PhD. We hope you'd enjoyed us navigating our neurodivergent brains through curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance. Take a moment to share this episode with someone you think could benefit from the conversation, because sharing really does help us continue building episodes and create better content for you. Also, don't forget to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to so that you can get notified each week, because next week we will dive into the chapter Solving Motivational Murders. That's how we're going to figure out how our energy is affected by the things that we are most interested in. We'll discuss how our estimation of time can impact energy, and how emotionally intense something is can also impact our energy. It's a very personal and individualized thing on what might bring energy versus not. I mean, Michelle and I are perfect representations of that. So tune in next week to learn what those ways are for us. And hopefully in the meantime, we won't murder each other. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember to stay curious. Murder.
Murder. You're like, oh, I love it already.
I'm like, I didn't use that one. That was great.
Do you want me to read it?
Okay.
Let me try. Okay, you ready? Rosie's grandpa was a treasure hunter. Every Saturday he went to a swap meet with $2 and a dream. And every Saturday he came home with a box of very important junk. One weekend, he bought Rosie a mountain of Barbies. Some had one leg, some had tangled hair. Most wore pink dresses and looked like they were cakes in disguise. But what Rosie couldn't stop noticing, was the yellow shoe. Just one. Just neon. Just not like the rest. Where's the other shoe, she asked. Her mom shrugged, probably lost at the swap meet. But Rosie knew better. This wasn't a missing shoe. This was a clue. She lined up every Barbie like a suspect. Maybe Beach Barbie left it near the ocean. Maybe Vet Barbie kicked it off while rescuing a squirrel. Maybe the other shoe got stolen by Ken. She made charts. She drew maps. She taped the shoe to the wall and labeled it Evidence A, yellow shoe. Dinner came. Rosie didn't. Shower time came. Rosie was building a Barbie-sized courtroom out of Tupperware. At bedtime, Mom found her under a pile of dolls, whispering, I just need to know if she got it back. Mom sat down and held her hand. Sometimes, she said, your brain grabs a question and doesn't let it go, huh? Rosie nodded. Mom smiled. Well, I may not always understand it, but I see it. And I love that part of you. The next day, Rosie brought her findings to school in a manila folder. She had taken the yellow shoe off the wall and taped it to the front. She gave a full report to the class titled The Case of the Missing Heel. Mom helped her create the title last night. Some kids giggled. Some kids whispered. One kid asked her if her brain was made of poop. By lunch, Rosie felt small and strange and made her questions were too much. When she got home, she didn't say anything. Her silence was the first clue that something was wrong. Throwing her folder in the trash was the second clue. Mom sat on the big orange chair covered in crushed velvet, the loving chair. Rosie climbed up onto her lap. Mom didn't ask any questions. Mom just pulled Rosie close and wrapped her up like her sister's favorite green blanket. And after a while, Mom whispered, "Not everyone will understand your kind of magic." Rosie sniffled. Mom revealed the folder rescued from the trash. She continued, "But that doesn't mean you stop being magical. Even if they laugh at me, especially then." Rosie nodded. Maybe the mystery of the missing shoe would stay unsolved for now. But she wasn't a mystery. She was Rosie, and that was enough.
Man, even I'm tearing up now.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
Thank you.
I love it.
I think it's going to be good.